Hi guys, it's Steffi from the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a books beside my bed video. For those of you who are new here, I film one of these every week where I wrap up the last 7 days worth of reading. And for those who are very familiar with the series, welcome back. The past week has been my May Read Digital Challenge, which is a monthly bingo challenge that I set myself where I try to read as many books off my Kindle as I can. Didn't go so well this month. If you've seen my vlog, which was posted on Saturday, you'll know that I went back to work this week and it was very exhausting. So I did read a lot, but I didn't read as much as I was hoping to read. So yes, but that's okay. That's fine. I did read some really good books this week. So this is my reading week from the 24th until the 30th of May. I read a total of 6 things this week. 5 of them were for Read Digital. 1 is a review copy that I'll share at the end. I read 1,942 pages and my yearly reading total is up to 193 books. The first book that I read this week was The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. This is a 2020 release from Avon, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It is an enemies to lovers contemporary romance book, and it follows Lena, who is a wedding planner who is left at the altar of her own wedding. The news is broken to her by her intended husband's brother Max, and apparently Max has had the previous night said something to his brother that prompted him to consider breaking off the engagement and the wedding, and Max is sent as the messenger, which Lena does not really appreciate very much at all. Flash forward a few months and we see Lena as she's trying to build a profile of her wedding planner business, and she ends up applying for a position as the primary wedding planner / event planner at a very prestigious hotel that is looking to hire someone. When she turns up to the interview, she is again confronted by her would-be husband and his brother, who are in marketing, and it turns out that there are 2 wedding planners up for the job and each wedding planner is going to be paired off with a marketing person. I don't remember the correct term. So Lena ends up being paired with Max, and the 2 have to come up with a concept for what weddings would look like at the hotel. And obviously Lena has issues with both her former fiance and his brother, but Max and Lena are forced to spend time together in order to complete this project and to win the contract. So it's a forced proximity situation, and there were some really fun scenes in it, particularly the scene where they sort of work out that maybe they're not really enemies and maybe they have feelings for one another, and it happens that they stumble across a couple's retreat and they have to pretend to be a couple. That was really fun as well. It's just a really easy read, in the vein of The Hating Game and Well Met and all of those books. I also read Trueness Worn by KJ Sutton. This is the first book in the Trueness Worn series. It was published in 2019 by Once Upon a Books, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars as well. This is a dark, fae, paranormal romance story, kind of. I don't know, it's kind of hard because it has a lot of elements in it. The main character, Fortuna, is a magical being, but she's the last of her kind, and I don't really want to say what she is because it's part of sort of the reveal of her character and why she's important in the story. She is hiding among the humans, and when we meet her, she's actually been captured and is being sold on a slave market. And she's been hiding amongst the humans since the disappearance of her brother, and everything she does is aimed at trying to track him down and find out where he went. The opportunity presents itself to find the answers to that when a powerful fae approaches her and tells her that he knows where her brother is. And if she chooses to come with him to Fairy as his wife, he will be able to help her see her brother. Despite knowing that it's probably a very bad idea, she does that. She ends up in Fairy, and there's a whole lot of things going on from there on out. These are not your light, fluffy fairies. They are dark and devious, and I love that sort of fae story because I prefer the more twisted side of fairy than I do the lighter side of fae court stuff. And this is definitely a very dark fairy court, and it is all about people trying to grab for power. Fortuna ends up finding herself in a situation where she has to fight for that power in order to save her life. I really enjoy this, and I have to say a big thank you to the author Kelsey for sending a copy of it to me. I do have the second book, which I'm hoping I might read at the end of June. It's sort of on my list for maybe the next Read Digital, and I can't wait to see what happens to Fortuna and all of the characters in the story. Then I read Hotter Than Ever by Elle Kennedy, which is book 9 in the Out of Uniform series and was published in 2018, I believe. It's either self-published or was released just on Kindle, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't expect to be reading 2 books this week that have the bride left at the altar trope and then they're rescued and fall in love with the groom's brother, but that's what happened. I was listening to one of the romance podcasts that I follow, and one of them had reviewed this, and I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head. If I can remember, I'll leave a link to the episode down below. And I just like Elle Kennedy. She's very easy to read. This is more on the steamier side compared to The Worst Best Man, and it follows Claire McKinley, who is about to get married. She's about to walk downstairs to get married, and she finds out that her fiance has actually completely left the building. His brother Dylan is the one who is sent to tell Claire that he has left, and they've never really gotten along. There's been a lot of miscommunication and they both think the worst of each other, but Dylan takes pity on her and decides that in order to spare her from having to deal with all the friends and family who are there and asking questions about what's happened, that he's going to take her back to his place in San Diego and she can hide out there for a little while and just sort of recover from the shock of everything. What we find out is that Dylan has a roommate, Aiden, and they are more than roommates. And when you add Claire to the mix of these two guys, things get very complicated. This is an MMF romance. It is very steamy, but there's a lot of really funny scenes in it. And because of all the miscommunication between Dylan and Claire, they think the worst of each other, but Aiden, who knows both of them separately, so he knows Dylan and he knows that Dylan is a great guy, and he gets to know Claire and knows that she's not this person that Dylan thinks she is. He's the one with the perspective on the two characters and has to force them to actually recognize that they're not as bad as they think they are. And there is a really hilarious scene where he locks them in a bedroom and refuses to let them out until they actually talk. Overall, it was short, easy to read, fun, and just something completely different. I needed something really mindless at this point of the week when I was reading because I was so tired. I also read Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich. I don't know if I've said that right. Apologies if I haven't. It is the first book in the Rivers of London series. I read this as an ebook and I also listened to the audiobook as I was reading. It is a 2011 release from Gallant and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars as well. This, like I said, it was a pretty good reading week. We follow Peter Grant, who is a detective constable in the Metropolitan Police Service. At the very beginning of the book, he is guarding a crime scene and then he takes a witness statement from a ghost. This brings him to the attention of Inspector Nightingale, the last remaining wizard in England. He takes Peter under his wing and Peter becomes a trainee wizard along with a police constable, and the two solve supernatural crimes within the city. And Peter is confronted with all manner of paranormal creatures, including vampires, gods and goddesses, and ghosts and hauntings. And honestly, it was just delightful. The way that it is written, Peter is a hilarious character to read from the perspective on. The way he thinks about things. He's so happy that he's a trainee wizard. He gets really excited by the whole thing, and then he spends a whole lot of time practicing and trying to learn how to do spells, and he doesn't get it straight away, but he keeps persisting with it. I mean, he's a great character, and he manages to piss off one of the major goddesses in the city, and the fallout of that was just really fun to read about as well. So I really enjoyed this book. I will hopefully continue the series at some point. I don't know when, but it was a very delightfully fun read. Then I read Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This is a 2019 release from eBerry Digital. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. We follow Jules, who's down on her luck, and she has just lost her job. She doesn't have very much money left, and she also walked in on her boyfriend cheating on her. So she is crashing on her best friend's couch while she tries to find a job and find a place to live. And then she comes across an ad for an apartment sitter in a very prestigious hotel in Manhattan, the Bartholomew. And the Bartholomew has a whole lot of history behind it, a lot of mystery and creepy stories associated with it. But Jules will be paid a lot of money to apartment sit, and it's not really something she can afford to turn down. Once she gets there, she meets some of the residents, and there are a whole lot of rules that apply to apartment sitters in this building, most of which are you cannot have any visitors at all. You cannot spend a night away from the apartment, and she's not allowed to disturb any of the other residents. Once she's actually living on site, it doesn't take long for Jules to understand that something shady is going on, and it's kind of creepy, and it sounds like there are people moving around within her apartment, and women have been going missing. I found this creepy, but not so creepy that I couldn't sleep at night, which is always a concern. You're led in one direction and you get taken in a completely different direction. So I will say that the twist was not what I was expecting it to be, but was suitably creepy anyway. I just felt we meandered on the way there, which is why I can't rate it higher. I still thought it was good and I enjoyed it. Yeah, overall it was pretty good. Then I received and read this from Scholastic. This is like a coffee table book. It is Marvel Studios, part of a bigger universe. This is a book in a box, essentially. And this is what it looks like. It is gorgeous. It is a collection of quotes from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is a 2020 release from Scholastic. I'm not going to give it a rating because it's a coffee table book. And inside you just have some of the major and very popular quotes from the Marvel Cinematic Universe all the way through. I love things like this. I can't really explain why, but as a fan of the series, I think this is a really nice sort of book to have. The one thing I would say is I sort of wish they had put all of the quotes in film chronological order, because they're sort of sporadically placed throughout the book. They have matched up similar quotes, things that, or parts of conversation or things that happened in sequence in a film together, but for the most part, you know, you've got any and all of the films all throughout the book, which is fine. I mean, that's a minor quirk, but yeah, I quite like this book. I'm really pleased that Scholastic were able to send me a copy of it. This one I will be keeping on my shelves, and I will have a blog review for this up very soon. So that's it for this week's wrap up. In the comments, let me know if you have read any of these books or if you're planning on reading them in the future. Alternatively, feel free to let me know what you have been reading. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're having a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.